but it did not get the same type of uproar that Dr. King got, right?
True.
We can agree
Absolutely.
on that.
Right.
So so my point is that I'm making is, although it seems as if all of us, resonates with him the most, the person who was able to uproar the lion in Judah was King, the
I I
non-violent.
I gotta jump in on that, but I want you to finish. Go ahead,
I'm pretty much done. Jump in.
bro. King was like the homie who don't bother nobody. That's why we rose up like that. We all understood that X can handle his own. Like X was a gangster. We can't forget that. But before he went to prison, that was his lifestyle. X reformed killers. Straight up and down. The nation still does that till this day. They reform killers. When dudes go to jail for murder, or even if they don't, the nation, one of the greatest things they bring to our community is they reform the people, they reform the menaces in our society. So when that happened to King, we like, damn, why y'all do that to him? That homie don't bother nobody. Like,
Right.
y'all, if y'all do that, I believe this is just my opinion, but I think it's a strong opinion. That's why our community rose up that way back in the 60s. They said riots broke out across the country in all the major cities because y'all did that to a man who was, preaching. He was peaceful, he was nonviolent. And if
Mhm.
y'all did that to him, it's like we lost all hope.
Yeah.
Solo.
I would agree. I definitely think that King definitely relied on, non-violence in order to make the message that he wanted to get through. But I think that may be, a gift and a curse, because if you're going against a group that has been so violent, I mean, you usually want to, I guess I'll say, instead of saying that, the king sort of relied on changing the morality of other races, which I think sort of can't be done. I think if once we find out who they actually are, then you figure out then that their morality is just isn't the same, their values isn't the same, their morals isn't the same. So, I think that we were probably was dealing with sort of beating a dead horse, trying to change trying to get, the other races to change their way of thinking about us, convince them that we're human, convince them that, they should probably stop killing us, and, all of that. So, I mean, I think that that's what King heavily relied on. But I think what made King was so special was that he was able to sort of organize a large group of black people. Black people believed in him. They thought that, he was educated enough, smart enough, more of a leader, that they were willing to follow him. I do think that King came up with specific strategies in order to organize us and um, get what we need, or he was able to make the decision and say, hey, this is what we're going to be fighting towards, and everyone sort of followed him without even maybe knowing specifically what it is that what goals he was trying to meet. So, I definitely think that he gave us some good and some bad, but I just think ultimately that was his sort of, that brought upon sort of his demise. It's like, I'm not going to tell my people to meet you where you are, but I'm going to ask them to be the bigger person, so to speak. Also, I definitely think that, they honor him now, but back then people wanted him dead. People didn't
That's
want
right.
him to be alive. Like they put him, when it's Martin Luther King Day and football is coming on, NFL does a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King, but Kaepernick tried to do a non-peaceful, a peaceful boycott, and they didn't kicked him out of the NFL. So it's sort of a contradiction. If what Kaepernick was doing was peaceful, and Martin Luther King, what he was fighting for was peaceful, then why is it that you're honoring him for doing it 60 years, 70 years ago? but then you're punishing him for doing it today. So, I don't really think we get a lot of places with nonviolence, especially given that we don't control our institutions, right? So, they still get to pick and choose, what they want to enforce, what they want to take seriously. And so, I mean, I think that until we start being more like Malcolm, we're not, we're still going to be subjected or still asking them to participate instead of us controlling, you know, our own. Because no black owned black basketball league would have had an issue with. What I would like to believe, we wouldn't have had an issue with Kaepernick boycotting the flag in our system. I mean, our institution, we may not even have a United States flag flying outside of our bank or at our school. Maybe our children don't pledge allegiance to the United States flag in our school, right? So, I just think that until we move away from sort of asking them to participate, which I felt as though King was sort of asking us to allow us to participate, that we're still going to be subjected to them until we start, moving towards Malcolm, where he's saying we need our own institution, we need our own businesses in our neighborhoods. Then we're still going to be sort of faced with what we're dealing with right now.
Jamie, you
Oh,
want to get you want me to get the comment section, or you already in there?
well, you see, I highlighted one of them. I was getting ready to
Oh,
address that.
all right. Oh yeah, I see it.
Um, so what I was going to say about that, hold on one second. Because he said he honestly thinks that the government used Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X to divide the black community. I
No,
I agree with it.
I do
That
too.
absolutely happened. Because it's like you said earlier, DeMarcus, they sort of was trying, they basically had the same mission, just different ways of doing it. And where the problem lies is that, and at least, as far as how America was looking at it, the problem lies that Malcolm's way, what they couldn't afford was for them to come together to form a solution to what the differences that they had, which was about to happen. The reason why they were like, we got to take one of them niggas out, and that person so happened to be Malcolm. But this isn't the only time that stuff like that has happened too. Like this has happened multiple times. Whenever something like this happens, where and I'm gonna talk about it on different levels, like not just from a civil rights level. You know what I'm saying? Like people that we look up to. Like it's certain people that certain communities and certain even our people as well would frown upon. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Um, this has happened a couple times. Like even the Bloods and the Crips, the Vice Lords and the GDs. Folks, I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but originally when these organizations, gangs were created, it was to protect the families.